私はあの女を許さない。絶対に。これよ。ついに見つけたわ。これであの女を地獄に落とせる。
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how is this a good ending? He literally found Paris to condemn a woman to hell. But after I tell you what led up to those events, you will see why. And maybe on her side, maybe. What's up guys, Evan47 and welcome to Watch for Plot. Subscribe for more content coming your way. Ranking Club is the episode for the week because the show I was requested to review had a lolly in it. Yeah, we run a clean shop over here, okay? That is literally the only rule. So small town in the mountains, Rin, has this tradition with their shrine maidens that is quite peculiar at best and at worst a green light to traffic whomever they please. And the conditions to said torture and trafficking is to write the name on a piece of paper. How did we get here? How can there possibly be a curse good ending? Why do I keep asking questions that you literally can't answer? Let's find out. On the mythological age, as the narrator puts it, Kono Hanasakuya Hime in Iwagana Hime married Tensen Ninigi. And since Iwagana was getting more attention because, and I quote, she was ugly, cursed her sister's entire lineage, which
is the man.
Shouldn't use that word, but sure.
Developmentally,
I don't know how that works. I guess she wrote a clause in this curse because to avoid this curse, said descendants must sacrifice women similar enough to satisfy the wrath of the curse that Konosuke laid upon her sister down the line. Now again, it doesn't mention exactly what happened to her sister, but I assume what happens to present day women happened to her sister eons ago. And so, with only that ancient tale that lasted again for generations, or at least long enough that our main character grew up, it's been embedded in this town. It is no longer urban legend, it's urban fact at this point. And apparently the cops are down with this, but since I have never seen a cop at all in this town, and when the torture sessions begins, it looks like any and all men in the town participate in said sessions. And with a leap of faith assumption here, I assume some cops were involved, hence why they are not even worried about investigating anything going on over here, completely just letting these egregious deals happen under their watch. Not the greatest town in the world. Hot take here. So our main character, who, surprise, surprise, is the narrator, has a vested interest into coming back to her hometown where she barely escaped becoming the next sacrifice. And now her motive is to get to the bottom of this and stop it from running amok and ruining every single woman's life, peace, and sanity. A noble cause for sure. Man, this town, if they had to rank their economic growth in terms of services provided, it would have to be the dark attraction of said vile sacrifice, i.e. the dark attraction that is a tourist destination that would boost and bolster their economy. Wow. The more I think about it, if it isn't even being looked at as a crime and people find out about this through the grapevine, you can just come over here and just freely commit a crime for as long as you want and leave and you're free. That's insane. It's another reason why they're keeping this up. Not only tradition, but it pays the bills. So with that gripping intro out of the way, let's flip the present day right off the bat. After being employed as a teacher in Rin, in said town, where not that many people were trying to help her to crack the code or get to the bottom of this, so she had to do a lot of the sleuthing herself. She mentioned here that any people that wanted to talk to her, when it came to the ranking club with the shrine maidens, they were either avoiding, dead silent, or kind of scared to even talk about it. And so after working there for some time, she does confront the new leader of the ranking club, whom I assume is the direct descendant of Konosuke, given the fact that she lives in a mansion after all. That's my only assumption, obviously.
元子さん。生徒会長の田村さんよね。はい、そうですけど。そしてもう一つの肩書きは、林間クラブの会長。あなたたちがしていることを、私は絶対にやめさせてみせるわ。覚えておいて。
JoJo pose aside, this is a noble cause. However, don't you think going after the final boss the moment you step foot in this town is a bit too bold? And if you also thought so, then you were correct because, well, as you may have noticed, since this is hundreds of years after the curse and there aren't that many blood relatives per se to sacrifice, the interpretation of similar to Konohana Sakuya gets liberally applied. The conditions of who qualifies to be the next one up are so broad that they can apply to anyone. All that has to happen is that your blood relative, spouse, or lover must write your name on a specific piece of paper called a hitogata. Now, this will be my only scrap of research this entire video, so you better enjoy it. A shinto or hitogata is a traditional Japanese paper doll used in a purification ritual or can be used to target someone for prayer or a curse. So, we deduct that definition. Konohana Sakuya, eons ago, must have done something similar. So now, Tamura Makoto, who is, again, the leader of the Ranking Club, has to find a way to take care of this problem because a determined 25 or 30-year-old woman who has a target on your back, that's not something you want. That's not the smoke you want at all. Especially as a student council president and the president of this dark ritualistic club. No. So what she does is fly back to Japan, assigns a new problem as a shrine maiden for the foreseeable future, and the end.
田村元子さんだったよね。驚いたよ。鈴子さんの田舎から教え子が訪ねてくるなんて。
そんな。先生甘いです。林間クラブを潰そうというのに。東京に将来を誓い合った恋人がいるなんて。
Wow, kinda makes me think twice about signing random papers and leaving a trace behind. On an unrelated note, comment down below any shows you want me to watch in the future. At this point, our teacher, Suzuko, isn't a thought in Tamura's mind anymore. She moves on, and we see her comforting her dearest friend and Rush, may I say, given a couple scenes that are, I was about to say lesbian coded, but it's just macking sessions. Maki. Now, I kind of saw the ending of this entire series happen the moment I was introduced to the leader of this ranking club who was cold and calculated, have a softer side, but spoiling it now would make zero sense. And also comes the fact that I've watched so many of these shows, the ending which was written the moment I understood the outline of what they're trying to get at and the ultimate payoff and build up of what happens. All it took is 10 minutes into the series and I saw the ending. Again, is this a superpower? No, because I can't use this for any other type of medium except hentai. I need to go to therapy. After about 2 weeks, Suzuko was officially lifted from the curse as being the main shrine maiden because Katsuragi Aiko's son was caught shoplifting and they made him sign his mom's name on the hitogata.
でもしおりやまきに手出しはさせない。絶対に巫女になんか。
勘違いしないでほしいんけど。
俺らがこれからやっちゃうのはあんたなんすよ。
Of course, she was still being tortured as if she were the main target of said curse, but as I mentioned in the show, since they already have the green light and no one could save her, why should we stop torturing Suzuko? And with that, and now Aiko is confirmed to be the next main shrine maiden, that's the end of episode 1. The next episode is explaining in greater detail how deep the corruption goes throughout the town, and how easy it is to get someone banished into the basement of the ritualistic torture. Because in a Jitaku Kaiben-esque fashion, we see an extremely complicated spy network all throughout Yamanaka's house, with the main viewer of said illicit footage being her brother. We have any parents in the building? So after being purposely misled into the storage shed, we get to see how depraved her brother truly is. And, well, we already knew. Because, so after being close enough to ravage his own sister, he gets clocked in the head by the other members of the Ranking Club, and they, again, torture her for the foreseeable future. Now, the only good thing this show did was not do the incest.
A year left on your contract.
And hey, you know, I appreciate that. Because if you're going to do literally everything else under the sun, having at least one boundary allows you to cling on to your morals. After a signature cuckold torture session, because Yamanaka had a boyfriend, then she was the ace of the gymnastics club and he was the ace of the baseball club. It only makes sense that the ending of the utter goes out in a blast. You know the Olympic event, the long shot? Imagine if it was the long dish and your boyfriend's on the other end. That's basically what happened. And remember Aiko? Katsuragi Aiko, the woman I mentioned like 10 seconds ago? Well, she got mind broken since it seems the more you get into these gang scenes that your mind gets broken and yada yada yada. We know how Stockholm Syndrome works. And so we see another session of Aiko's husband biting his tongue until he bleeds and he's crying, furious with rage. And also we see this ominous quote here.
どんなに清らかでも
将来を誓い合った恋人がいても、この町に生まれた女は運命から逃れることはできない。たとえそれがどんな悲劇を生むとしても。
Which, you know, again, maybe people in this town all have lead paint in their walls? Because doesn't Tamura know she's a woman? And by saying that women would never escape the clutches of fate, and since she is the president, wouldn't that mean that she would also be on the list? Since again, she's a part of royalty in this town, of like a normal hillbilly town. So that would imply that her ability to be the No. Anyway, episode 3. Here we go. The best way to save someone from being a shrine maiden, i.e. the main victim of these trafficking crimes, is to become the victim yourself. Is to step aside, pull the piccolo. Now at this point, we are introduced to the concept of self-sacrifice to save another shrine maiden. I had no idea you could do this at all. But you know who else didn't have any idea you can do this and therefore usurp the order, how the shrine maidens are assigned? The president of the entire organization itself, Tamura Motoko.
まだ次の巫女は決まらないのかしら。
おかしい。なんで林間クラブの会長である、この私のところに連絡がないの？
There's no way out of this. No.
Now they try to give us hints as to how the story would end to all the Coomers out there who aren't paying attention. But the moment she stopped getting play-by-play updates on who is the next Shrine Maiden, you know, since that's her fucking job to organize that type of stuff, and where it was being held, her time was up. It was done there. If you didn't know in episode 1, the moment she started talking to Maki, now you 100% know in episode 3. You're done. And Nakamura confronts Maki about her concerns of the Rinkin Club before she sacrifices herself to save both of their mothers, Aiko.
Maki, どうしたの？あなたこの頃おかしいわよ。お姉ちゃんに話して。もしかして、林間クラブのこと？お姉ちゃん。私だって話ぐらい聞いたことがあるわ。
And this really eerie, reminiscent to Goku pulling an instant transmission on Cell when he's about to self-destruct type vibe here happens.
いいえ、助けるわ。
本気ですか？そう思うなら方法は一つしかない。
マキちゃん、お父さん、友信さん、ごめんなさい。
I'm not gonna lie, it tugged at my heartstrings, but then I realized, oh wait, none of this matters because it's a hentai. They don't do emotional payoffs, but it was still touching regardless. Maki finds out about her mother Aiko recovering weeks after being released, and now her sister Nakamura taking her place. She starts to connect the dots and realize she can sacrifice herself to save another person, hence why when she saw Nakamura basically defecate herself on her way home, she was suspicious at the fact that she finally found her mother, who was missing for a while since again she was being tortured for a month on end. She connected the dots and therefore wanted to make the next step herself. However, before we get to understanding what that even means, we have to talk about the reveal of Maki becoming the next Shrine Maiden, because what is this video?
カンクラブに新しい巫女が来たぞ。
They're just as hype as if the new Super Smash Bros. Character just got released or something. That is insane. How do they do that? That's it's like the same auras. So with another Shrine Maiden being locked in and relieving Nakamura of her duties, Maki is the main target. And at this point, Hamura finds out, but it's already been a month. And clearly, given the whole mind break genre being like one of the most favorite genres of the entire hentai sphere, Maki will never be the same. And of course, given that they were under strict guidance to record every single session of the sacrifice and show it to Tamura as if it were a highlight reel hoop mixtape montage of Maki getting acclimated to the conditions, Tamura just breaks down. Now I'm going to insert these two clips in succession if you don't mind.
これよ、ついに見つけたわ。私、山崎鈴子は、田村元子を巫女に供します。巫女に供する資格を持つ者は本人か家族にしか許されていない。 あなたには資格はないわ。それが何か。
父親の名が書いてある。そして私の父親の名は。
まさか。
And here is where the title of the video finally comes to an end, or comes to a good close, or a loop, or however you finish that sentence off.
He's the man!
So when we find out that Suzuko was related to Tamura and wrote her name on the Hitokata, Tamura Motoko had no other chance. Her fate was sealed. Now again, I do believe there is some mysticism and sort of supernatural powers going on here, because there hasn't been any instances where people write the name on a Hitokata where they're not related, where they're not a sibling, or not a lover, and it going through. However, once someone is on that list or is able to be a legitimate sacrifice, they in turn are a target for as long as the ranking club members want them to be. Therefore, while yes, there are strict rules to get someone into the list to become the next Shrine Maiden, there aren't that many rules to write them off or get them out, for lack of better words. The main reason for Suzuko's whole revenge plot here leading up to Tamura's end was that her mother got to death, is what we're led to believe, because at the ending when she walks away, that's more or less what she says, to avenge her mother. So long story short, what I am saying is yes, this is a legitimate rules they're following and they just can't make it up, and I assume the leader is there to make sure this is being orchestrated in a way that is actually appeasing the curse, and not just a way to willy-nilly commit crimes because you feel like it, even though technically you can do that since the conditions of said Hitogata are so broad. Regardless, the ending, the whole point of this video. Okay, so the ending, after basically having Tamura just getting ravaged by her own former employees, is getting Maki, Aiko, and Tamura and Nakamura all in a rotation to be the next Shrine Maiden whenever there needs to be one, and whenever they would birth children once they are old enough to become impregnated, then they are the next Shrine Maiden in the ritual, and therefore it's an entire looping circle that will satisfy itself for the foreseeable future. Therefore, no other women in the town will be tortured. Therefore, our anti-hero saved the entire village by sacrificing 4 women. Now, I feel like this is the trolley problem, basically, and when given the chance of sacrificing one over hundreds, she broke the switch on the one so fast that the train wasn't even in sight. Long story short, that is Ranking Club. And wow, what a series to come back to, alright? What do you guys think of Ranking Club? Would you approve of this in your own town? The answer to that question better be no. I'm calling the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, Homeland Security, the Secret Security, United States Army, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Nuclear Department on your forehead. What was I even talking about?